This Friday, your favorite emotions are back on the big screen in Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2.
It's time to greet your Team Riley. It's anger.
Let me at him.
Fear.
Safety checklist is complete.
Disgust. Ew. Sadness is in the house.
Oh, no.
Hello, I'm anxiety. I'm one of Riley's new emotions.
Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2.
There's a part 2?
We're going!
Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters Friday. Get tickets now.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Erin.
And you're listening to Ropedrop and Parkhop.
You guys, we're struggling over here just a tiny bit today because it's summer. We're busy.
Summer. So first of all, we're recording on a Tuesday afternoon, which we don't normally do. This is the second time we recorded this week because we recorded yesterday with a special guest, which we're not giving away yet because that episode won't publish for a couple of weeks. But we just recorded intro number 1.
I gave it a little bit away yesterday. I posted a picture on our Instagram,
fine.
so some people know.
Okay.
But maybe not everybody in that story has expired. So
there you
if
go.
you didn't see it,
you missed out.
Surprise for you.
There's your reminder to go follow us on Instagram so you can get the spoilers. Yes.
I know.
But anyway, so we just recorded an intro for that. We're recording an intro for this week. And let's go ahead and read a review before I lose it. Before I lose which one I'm supposed to be reading. This review is from a year ago from MIK 986532. I hope you're still here. Best commute noise. I love it.
I love it too.
I love a good commute noise podcast. A wonderful podcast to listen to on my way home from work. I like how the hosts are normal, in quotes, people like me, and that they record at the library. Super down to earth and excellent content. Allows me to experience Disney without being on a trip. I love it. What kind of a trip are you talking about?
I'm down for any trip.
Thank you. That's awesome. By the way, speaking of recording at the library, they are doing some installation here today of some shelving of some kind. So if you hear some funny little thuds, that's what that is.
There's drills like right on the other side of the wall. So normally we're pretty quiet in here. It's not, I don't think this is actually soundproof. I think we have some foam on the walls here that I don't think is soundproofing. I think it's just foam pyramids.
Well, I think what it helps is dampen the sound in here. So that so there's not so much echo.
I wish they would put some, dear library, I wish they'd put some foam like sound insulating tiles, not just the dampening, but something that could help insulate from outside noise.
Yeah.
Because so the way that our library is set up is we're upstairs and we have an open, really all that's up here is the recording studio and a couple of offices like for the staff. And then, but half of the building is open to the downstairs and it echoes quite loud sometimes when they're having meetings down there. So sometimes, like right now we can hear footsteps.
Little thuds.
Anyway, it's great. We're not complaining.
No.
It seriously is still just the best thing we ever found, ever.
And when I'm editing, I really don't hear a ton of background noise, even though we sometimes will hear it while we're recording. It doesn't really translate
Which is
to
good.
the recording. So that means we got good equipment, and we're so grateful to the library for letting us be here.
We are.
Great spot.
It's such a great spot. We're very lucky. We're very blessed.
All right, let's hit some news for this week.
All right.
Big news at Disneyland. Magic keys on pause.
Which...
Why do they always wait
Weird.
till right before I'm going to go and I could possibly upgrade to a magic key, and that's when they're done?
I know.
It's like
because
they
they
knew.
know. For sure. It's weird to me, too. Like... Every other time they've been on sale for hours, and that's it. And then they're sold out. This time it was like a month.
I felt like longer than a month, maybe.
6 weeks?
And like, why? In the summer...
I don't know.
Are they really selling like hotcakes all of a sudden?
No.
Yeah.
And then all of like at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, did they just finally sell out? Like that makes no sense.
And there's that crazy cool ticket promo going on for this summer, which made me think maybe attendance was a tiny bit lower or down or slow or something. So I don't know. Maybe they're anticipating with that promo that the parks are going to start to get busier this summer.
Well,
but people that have magic keys, they already have them.
Right.
For this year. It's not
people who have magic keys, I mean, there's a good chunk of them that aren't there in the morning. They come in the afternoon. They're local. They, come spend a few hours and go home. I don't feel like they're the bulk of the populace at Disneyland. I wonder, too, we're going to talk a little bit more as we get into the news, but there's kind of a lot of things that are happening that could circle back to the unionization situation that's happening at Disneyland. And I wonder if Speculation. Not
Yes.
even speculation, but like just a thought. Like,
Just random musings.
yeah, blue sky. I wonder if there's some entertainment issues that they're trying to pause having more people come in while they figure out what they're going to do with some of the entertainment.
Maybe, but is Magic Key sales pause the way to cut down on the crowds? I don't know.
I don't know.
Like I said, I feel like everybody that's going to come for this summer already bought their Magic Keys.
Already has tickets.
And
already.
the people that are blocked out for the summer are the locals usually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows? We never know. We're never going to be a fly on that wall.
Not yet. Maybe
Not yet. Someday. But right now, we don't know. We don't get to see the behind the scenes, and they never ask our permission or our opinion on anything. So
It's ridiculous. I'm getting sick of it. Speaking of, let's talk about some of the things that are coming up that could be possibly related to unionization of actors and performers at Disneyland.
Okay.
The Doctor Strange show is closing at the end of June permanently.
why?
I don't know.
What are they going to put there?
Popular.
And it's built for Doctor Strange over there.
Right.
I did hear
What's it called? The Sanctum?
the Inner Sanctum, something
Okay.
like that. I did hear it was either a rumor or confirmed. I don't know that they're doing some refurb over there eventually. That they're going to replace the illusion wall, the illusion floor
Oh, man.
with something.
Okay.
But it'll still be an illusion. It'll still be a photo op type spot.
Kind of wasted space. I mean, it's a lot of fun and it's a fun picture, but that's it. Like, it doesn't have any
Yeah.
other purpose except for to go back and take a photo.
Right.
And I feel like they could have done something better there.
Maybe. I
Like-
like it. I like that spot back
Oh,
there.
I love
think it's
it.
nice.
I think it's great. I just think it's wasted space.
Yep, I can see that.
But
And maybe they're getting ready to put in that e-ticket attraction.
oh gosh,
And it'll
that's
take up
never
the
gonna
Doctor
happen.
Strange area. Who knows?
Maybe, and maybe that is exactly it.
Or maybe
we're
they'll
getting
move
maybe
this-
we're getting a cosmic rewind, and they need to expand.
Yes.
Disney,
Or they're going to move the, what's the Avengers store called?
the Avengers store. I don't even know
The Avengers
the
store.
one that's
maybe they'll-
underneath the Quinjet.
Maybe they'll move that. So that
And
they
I
can
think
build
I
a
heard
ride.
somebody recently say the truck is gone too.
Oh, interesting.
The big Black Widow
Yeah.
truck. That part is
Yeah.
it Black Widow's truck?
I don't know.
don't
There's
either.
various characters meet out in front of that.
But
I
the
don't
big
know
black
who it
truck that's
belongs
parked
to.
right there is not there right now, which I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I heard that recently.
Okay.
Also, reservations are paused apparently for the parade package, the dining package at Plaza Inn, which again, speculation, blue sky, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have to do with performers.
What about at DCA? Do they have parade packages over there?
They have the dessert package. I
I
don't
wonder if that's paused.
I don't know. I don't know. And I think, let's see, the date I think that we had someone ask about was the middle of July.
Which is only 30 days away from now.
Right. And Pixar ends August 4th. So maybe they're just good through that.
Maybe.
Maybe that's handled, but maybe they're trying to figure out magic happens. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully everything is good. Again, this is just us spitballing.
Right.
We don't have any information, so don't take any of this as gospel, please.
This is not news. This is entertainment.
But again, here's another one. They have removed the piano at the Golden Horseshoe. There is no more live piano on the stage.
I can tell you why that happened, maybe.
Okay.
So Celebrate Soulfully is happening this month.
Okay. Which I was like, didn't this just happen? I swear Celebrate Soulfully happened in February.
Or at least something similar.
I feel like it was even called
feel like it
Celebrate
was- yeah,
Soulfully.
you might be right.
Maybe it's a year-long excitement,
Maybe. But at the Golden Horseshoe, they will have a Celebrate Soulfully exhibit going on.
which is there. So they've got a little
So-
exhibit on the stage.
So that is maybe why they moved the piano?
Or maybe that's why they put the Soulfully Celebrate Soulfully thing there, is because
Chicken
they
or the
lost
egg?
they lost their pianist due to unionization.
Oh, that makes me sad. Can they just bring back that Golden Horseshoe show?
Right?
I want it back.
I've been in the Golden Horseshoe maybe 7 minutes total my entire life.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's not a place I go very often.
I haven't been in a while, but we used to love it in there. Go in and watch the show.
Well, now you can go in
the
and stare at the
Frontierland
Celebrate
show.
Soulfully exhibit.
I guess so. Well, along with Celebrate Soulfully, Tiana's Palace and Tiana's Place.
Tiana's Palace.
It's Place in the movie.
No, I think it's Palace in the movie too.
I'm going to look that up.
Okay.
I feel like it was backwards. But Tiana's and Riverbell will have special menu items for Celebrate Soulfully, and then there will be music at California Adventure and Downtown Disney to commemorate. celebrate soulfully.
When you read about it online, they also talk about how the Five and Dime is available on Buena Vista Street in DCA.
Yes, and there's a special float dedicated to Soul in the Pixar Pals Parade. Pixar Play Parade? What is it?
Pixar.
It was the Pixar Play Parade. Our brains don't work in the afternoon. This is why we record in the morning when we're fresh, usually. Anyway, go check it out.
Speaking of not being fresh today, hold on. We probably should pause and note what happened in our, see, I talk a lot more about this kind of stuff than you do. Kenley got her driver's license this morning. So that's why we're recording this afternoon, because I really, really needed her to get her driver's license. I could not be driving with her to work every day anymore and having my own schedule to work around. And so
it's life-changing.
Yeah, so this morning was the only day we could make it work this week, and I needed her to have it before next week because she's working like 30 hours a week. And I am too busy to navigate around her 30-hour work week. So it was time. Anyway, sorry. That's why we're recording this afternoon.
Congratulations.
Good job, Kenny.
Inside Out 2 has a little pre-show before World of Color to get ready for the movie coming out.
I'm so excited about the movie.
Super cute. And Space Mountain Q construction. There's just a little blue box. Not totally sure what's going on there, but also they've rerouted the single rider line again. So
back
it's going
upstairs,
in through the
up above.
Right. So going back in through the regular queue just to the right of it. So that's where you'll enter for single rider. And it sounds like they're just kind of like in Credicoaster, where they just let a group of people in at a time into the loading zone, get them loaded, and then let another group in. So it's not a continuous line.
Which also puts you up on that higher level, which is like beating sun if it's hot outside.
Sure is.
Ugh. I would much prefer to go in through the exit. Thank you very much.
Right. But
eventually
it's clogging up the disability access too. So I don't know.
Maybe eventually they'll get their crud together and they'll figure it out and it'll be a permanent solution.
Speaking of disability access, that's coming up June 18th, right? Is the day that gets implemented. So we will keep you updated when we hear how that's going.
Still not going great
at Disney World.
No.
Yeah.
But we're still hopeful.
Still cautiously optimistic. What else? What do you have?
Wonderground is reopened in a new location down, I think, kind of toward Naples. So on the opposite side and a little further into the center of downtown Disney.
Okay.
We talked about this, that Marceline's is expanding. And so Wonderground moved. I love Wonderground. It's one of my favorite little shops in downtown Disney. And then Anger is coming to California Adventure. Speaking of Inside Out 2, he's going to be doing meet and greets. So typically back on Pixar Pier, you could see Joy and you could see Sadness. And Anger is going to be part of that meet and greet now, too.
So fun. Over there by Emotional Whirlwind-ish?
Yeah,
like by the bandstand.
Yep,
cool.
in that area.
Fun.
And then a little bit of sad news, which maybe you have heard. A manager at Club 33 passed away on property this past week when she fell from a moving golf cart.
Right. Very, very sad.
Yes, very sad. And gosh, I just can't even imagine all of it. Everything.
Yeah.
I know somebody who was there when this happened. They were in the parks that day and they said that they did not notice anything happening. And so it was obviously kept backstage.
Right.
And it didn't disrupt park flow, which isn't the priority. But I mean,
it's good that it didn't cause a scene that like drew a crowd.
Right.
It's better to keep those things a little bit more private, which a lot of times we'll see people post on Facebook groups like, they shut down Big Thunder and evacuate us. Did somebody die? Like, and
yes,
I want to say if something tragic did happen, you would not know about it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not, something that everybody's going to know about.
I'm sure that they have protocol for when something like that happens, when somebody is injured or has a situation like this. And honestly, I don't know the last time something like this happened. You don't hear about it very frequently.
No.
But yeah, it's really sad.
It is sad.
Really sad.
Our thoughts are with her family and her cast member friends.
For sure. And what I read about her is that she'd been there for 20 plus years. She'd been there for quite a while. I mean, she was in management at Club 33. So she worked her way up there. So she was definitely part of the Disney family. So.
Okay. Disney Cruise Line news. That's what you're waiting for. 50% off deposits right now on specific sailings, and you have to book by August 8th to take advantage of that. And that's a pretty cool deal. Yeah. And this last week they had the first ships head over to Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point.
it's hard to know exactly what. I had to close my eyes and really dig deep for that name.
And we're going to have more info for you on that next week because we have a special guest coming.
We do.
That got to be there on opening day.
Yeah.
So very exciting.
Mixed bag of reviews.
And we'll let her speak to her
I'm excited
experience.
to hear what she has to say.
And then we'll bounce off some of the other things that we heard.
It was I watched a lot, and it was a very interesting situation. I will say this, and she probably will say this too. I just want to go sit in that water.
I know, it's beautiful.
The most beautiful blue, lovely water that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I just want to go park my buns in the sand.
That's actually, that island has been on my list for a long time before they even built their special place there. Eleuthera?
Eleuthera, yeah. And it's not, so kind of, and she'll talk more about this, I'm sure, next week, but it's not a private island.
Nope. It's a peninsula.
It's a peninsula of an island. So it's not like Castaway Cay that Disney owns the whole island.
Right.
They just have this portion of the island. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, we'll talk to her next week.
Yeah.
And a guest the week after that, too. We're guest heavy.
But that's good.
Yes, it is. Next week.
We know you guys love us, but we'll give you a break for a couple of weeks.
Isn't it nice to have somebody else every now and then?
Yes. All right. I think that's it for news. Do you have anything else?
No.
I'm sure we missed something, but we'll catch you up.
We'll catch it next week,
follow
hopefully.
us on Instagram. Our podcast is brought to you by Mouse World Travel. Imagine going on the most stress-free, well-planned Disney vacation of your life. Now imagine you didn't pay anything extra for that personalized service. That's what you'll get when you use an authorized travel planner from Mouse World Travel to book your next Disney vacation. From resorts to cruises and everything in between, they are here to help you get the most out of your next family trip. Just go to mouseworldtravel.com, fill out a short request form, and make sure you mention our code Ropedrop so they know that we sent you. Okay, guys, so this week we are going to talk a little bit about considerations that you might think about before you decide when to book your trip. And we get questions a lot, when's the best time of year to go? Or should I take my kids out of school to go on this trip? Or things like that. And we just want to kind of go down the list and down the calendar and give you some considerations to think about when you're booking your trip.
And something else I see frequently on forums, like online forums, are people who are surprised that they've booked a trip for, October, and why is California Adventure closing early on 2 of our nights that we're there? This isn't fair. And it's like, well, there's some things that you can kind of count on year after year, and you can kind of work around when you're planning your trip.
But then there are also some things you can't plan around. There are private events that happen every once in a while that you don't really get a heads up about until a month, maybe before. And, people plan their trips.
Yes.
A year in advance.
Keep that in mind, actually. So about 45 days in advance is when the calendar comes out with the hours for the park and the entertainment schedule. And so about 45 days in advance is when you're going to know if a corporation bought a park out.
Yes.
It doesn't happen a lot.
Not a ton.
But it happens occasionally. I know there's a radio station in Southern California, Woody's something. Anyway, they buy out California Adventure every year, and they do a big contest and have all of their listeners win tickets to go. And that happens every year. I don't know when, but it happens. So 45 days in advance, you're going to know what the schedule is for the park.
Right.
I don't think any of these are reasons not to go.
No, I was going to say that. Here's my hot take.
Okay.
I say pick a date that works for you and go. And no matter what, you can make it work.
Totally.
You can add park hoppers onto your tickets. You can leave the park and go to your hotel. You could go do a character dinner at Goofy's in the evening if the park closes early. There's so much that you can do. You do not need to be at the park from 7:30 a.m. to midnight to have a good time.
And I think, too, on the flip side of that coin, people start panicking when they see, oh, my gosh, California Adventure is closing at 6 o'clock. Okay, well, I'll switch over to Disneyland that day. Sometimes those days have the lightest crowds at the park that is closing early.
Right, because everybody has the same idea. I don't want to be at the park that's closing early. And if you only have a 1 park ticket, you're going to Disneyland, right?
Right. So, I mean, there's lots of considerations, lots of things to think about. Essentially, you can't plan anything, right? Disneyland's always crowded.
Yes.
You randomly will get this light day that is like a gift from the heavens above, But most of the time, you want to plan for it being crowded.
Yep.
And there's ways to mitigate it for sure, but there's sacrifices that you make when you try to plan a trip for when the park is not as crowded. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that too.
Okay.
So,
all right. Shall we just start with
is
the
there
beginning
a song?
of the year?
Do we know a song about the beginning, about the months? January, February, March, April, May. I don't know. Is there a song?
I'm trying to think if I know one. I used to know a Spanish one that helped me remember the Spanish months, but
I don't know if I remember them. I have to think about it for just a minute. But we should write a song.
Febrero. I don't know the song though. Sorry. I hit the table.
You've lost it. You've lost the song.
Lost the song.
Gosh, we can't even remember.
Duolingo does not teach me songs.
Duolingo, do your job. Okay, January. Let's
Starting
start
with
at the beginning of the year.
January. And this changes too all the time because now race weekend is back in January at the end of January. So that's a busy time when typically most of January is kind of a lull.
So the beginning of January is going to be the end of the holiday season. If you want to go during the holiday season, it's a great time to go because I feel like it's when kids start going back to school. They've taken their Christmas trip
But the holiday decorations
are still up. You're still going to have a parade. You're still going to have Nightmare Before Christmas overlay on the Haunted Mansion.
Small World overlay.
It's a Small World, yep. Usually, I feel like that's, if you want to go holiday time, that's going to be your lowest. That beginning of December or beginning of January.
Yes, the week after Thanksgiving is really good, and the week after Christmas, after New Year's, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both. After that first week and a half, whatever it is, that first part of January before the holiday ends, you're entering refurbishment season. So that's when attractions are going to shut down for refurbs and removal of overlays.
Yep. So you will have fewer rides to choose from, which don't let that make you cancel a trip unless the only ride that your kid has been asking for their whole life is Grizzly River Run.
Which probably isn't happening anywhere.
Probably not.
So yeah, Grizzly River Run, you can count on being down after a couple of years. Probably Tiana's will fall into that same time.
Yes.
I imagine it will be a couple of years till they do that. And then, of course, It's a Small World and Haunted Mansion are both going to go down right around that same time. They usually don't go down at the same time. They usually stagger those two.
Yep. And then there's always a sprinkling of other rides that start to go down for refurb around that time too. They tend to stagger those. They try not to close them all at the same time, but
crowds are low.
Something to be aware of. Weather is
sketch.
It's cold and rainy.
The park tends to close a little bit earlier. Disneyland will close at like 9. You'll get fireworks on the weekends, and that's it. I mean, it's a good time to go because, again, this is probably when you're going to find your lowest crowds. February is probably the month of the lowest crowds.
Right. So Human Rights Day weekend will be busier because that's a holiday weekend. And then into February, President's Day weekend will be a busier weekend.
Right.
But other than that, and then, like I said, race weekend is the last weekend of January. So
how was race weekend last year? Was it busy?
So I felt like it felt pretty normally busy to me, not extra busy. And also the parks were completely empty in the mornings of the races because all of the racers had raced and then went back to their rooms to convalesce. And they're not going straight to the parks like the crazy people we are.
Right.
And we went straight, like we'd shower and go right back to the parks.
Right.
It was lovely for the first couple of hours. And then like maybe around 11, then
everyone
the crowd started coming in. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of fun, though. I think that's kind of a fun crowd to be part of.
I think so, too.
All these people who are just so excited to have accomplished something so cool.
And like I said, I don't think that it felt any busier to me than like a weekend in October.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's good to know. What else?
Let's see. Not a ton of school breaks besides those two. What else in January? We're still talking about January. So Lunar New Year celebrations will start then. So there's a couple of food booths for that and some processionals and other special offerings.
Usually just a DCA for that. That's where they'll have that festival.
Yep. And that's pretty fun. That's a fun thing to go experience.
It is fun. And then sliding into March, you're going to start with spring break crowds. So in March, you're going to start seeing some crowds come back. There's usually a 2-ish week period, end of March, beginning of April, where they'll do fireworks every night. But typically, you're still going to have just weekend fireworks during these non-peak times.
Right.
So if fireworks are important to you, summer's your favorite. Summer is your friend.
Summer is your best bet.
Yep.
Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Yep. What else in March? Anything else in March?
March. Food and Wine will start in March.
Yes.
It usually starts the first or second weekend in March. And that's a pretty big crowd draw, I would say, especially if you go like opening weekend of Food and Wine. You're going to have all of the influencers and vloggers there.
We were there this past year a week after it opened, and it was still, I mean, there was
Relatively
times
busy.
where I was like shoulder to shoulder near the food booths. It's popular for sure.
Yep. But we have ways to mitigate that crowds during Food and Wine. So go back and listen to that episode if you haven't.
And also, it's totally worth visiting.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
So fun. I love Food and Wine.
Soarin' Over California. That's when they're going to switch Soarin' to Soarin' Over California instead of Soarin' Around the World, which no thank you from me.
Aaron was not a fan.
I got really sick. I don't know if I talked about it, but I got sick.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. You mentioned it.
Yeah, thinking about it now makes me sick again. Anyway,
Yes.
I like Around the World
right.
better.
Okay, got it. So maybe if they could figure out a way to make the video quality better on California. I've heard that they're very protective of that video, of the whatever it is, because it's not duplicatable. So I don't know if they
why.
would touch it. I don't know if they would try to
Why?
remaster it or not. I don't know.
We can't take new video?
Oh, I don't know. I guess.
Go out with your nice cameras. You've got drones. We've got all kinds of technology. Make a new video.
They should use the cameras that they used on the Bayou Adventure ride through.
Oh, gosh.
Take a new Soarin' video.
Yeah.
That's
No.
what you were asking for?
No. You know what? Have all the influencers that are out and about take video wherever they are and
Right.
send it in and make a compilation. It's probably, phone video is probably better than what they currently have. But people love it. People love Soarin' Over California.
Yes.
It's the classic. It's great. I love it. I just can't do it.
Right. All right. March. What else can we talk about March? Daylight savings will begin in March. So if you go the weekend daylight savings happens, you will lose an hour of
Were we
sleep.
there
Yes.
Was that also the weekend that I had to get up at like 3 a.m. and make food dining reservations?
No, I think that was our training, our TA training weekend that you had to do that.
Maybe,
right?
yeah. Yep, you're right. My goodness. Early mornings.
Right. Weather-wise, March is still hit and miss. You still will have some colder mornings and colder evenings. It warms up quite a bit during the day. Going into April is when it really starts to get lovely, though, at Disneyland. The flowers start blooming. The ducklings are out.
Oh, and they're so cute. Somebody told me once, and I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, but somebody told me once that Disneyland is about 2 months behind everybody else on weather.
Which I think makes sense.
And so, you know, if you're starting to have nice warm spring weather where you're from, Disneyland's probably a month to 2 months behind that. Cooler and still a little rainy. Right now, like we're hitting 90s here in Boise and it's in the mid 70s in Anaheim.
Yeah.
I'm missing it.
Yes. And it doesn't typically get super hot there with the exception of a couple of months. Maybe a
And
few.
random days throughout the year. We have been there in
Right.
February
Yeah,
when it was
it's
91.
true.
Yeah. So again, unpredictable, but you can almost kind of count on the idea that it's going to be about a month and a half behind you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
May, you're going to run into Star Wars nights. That's going to be an early closure for Disneyland Park.
Also, grad nights start in May.
Yes.
Early closure for DCA. Actually, no, not an early closure, is it?
No, I don't think it's an early closure, but you're going to have a lot of teenagers showing up halfway through your day probably.
Yep. And we've talked about this a lot, but I don't feel like it's a huge inconvenience. I don't feel like it's a reason to cancel your trip. Like, don't not go to DCA on a grad night just because you think there are going to be teenagers there.
Right.
Just be aware.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of them, but it's still fun. It's kind of fun to be around their energy sometimes.
I think so, too.
Especially when you're old like me. Also, that's when festivals are going to start for the summer. So Season of the Force happened this year. And then Pixar Fest started.
which I hope they bring back next year.
Right,
it
me
seems
too.
to be a hit this year, so we'll see.
I wouldn't know.
Me neither.
I
Haven't been there
haven't
yet
gone.
either.
I don't have plans to go. It's fine. I'm fine.
And then other specialty nights happen throughout the year too. So Pride Nights in June, Princess Nights in. Did they not? No,
They
Princess
didn't
Nights.
do Princess
sorry.
Nights this year, so
They've done Princess Nights before. Sweethearts Night. That's what I was
In
trying to think
February.
of in February. And they had a Disney Channel night this year.
and those have all been at Disneyland. Those are Disneyland After Dark nights. So you can kind of actually count on Disneyland After Dark is going to be at Disneyland. And then other things, Grad Night, Oogie Boogie, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Those are going to be over at California Adventure. Kind of the longer term
Right.
things that happen are going to be at California Adventure, which makes sense. I think it makes sense to have early closures long-term at California Adventure than Disneyland.
Agreed.
They'll do a couple nights for things at Disneyland, but not a long-term situation typically.
Yeah. It's just the more popular park. It's the one, if someone's just coming for a day, that's where they go.
Yeah.
So I think they tend not to close that one down early as much.
Yep.
And California Adventure closes at 10 most nights anyway. So when it closes early, it's not that much earlier than it would normally close.
And Disneyland will stay till midnight a lot of nights,
Yep.
especially
in the
weekends.
summer.
Mm-hmm. So the end of May is going to also start nightly fireworks, like we mentioned, starting Memorial Day through Labor Day. You're going to have fireworks every night, weather permitting. At some point during that time, you're going to have Santa Ana winds rolling in, which means no fireworks. If you are unfamiliar with Disneyland and you are a Walt Disney World regular, it's completely different. Disneyland is smack in the center of a city.
Yeah.
And they do not want to catch the buildings nearby on fire, so they just don't do fireworks if it's windy.
Yeah. And I feel like they're pretty cautious.
I feel like they're pretty cautious.
They will. It will sometimes not even feel remotely windy on the ground, but if it's windy up in the sky, they send up a little weather balloon, I think, to test.
You can watch it. You can see it. A little white weather balloon goes up into the sky. And I've actually watched it before and thought, oh, nope, that's going pretty straight up. We should be good. And then they've canceled. So I don't really know what they're looking for.
Right. And World of Color over at DCA runs pretty much rain or shine. I don't feel like they cancel that for any particular reason. Same with Fantasmic. That should run.
But they did cancel it surprisingly last week.
That's right.
They had one night where it was canceled.
And it wasn't because the dragon was on fire. So.
No, but it does run pretty consistently.
Yes.
I think that was
a fluke.
Yes, an off night. July has 4th of July, and they're going to do special fireworks on the 4th of July. So if you're there, try to catch those. I think it's typically the regular fireworks show with an additional. Isn't that right?
I actually don't know the answer to that because I've never been.
We were there for 4th of July last year, weren't we? We came home on the 4th.
Yeah, we weren't there for the actual fireworks.
That's right. We came home. I think, if I remember correctly, it's in addition to whatever the regular fireworks show is. They have a little patriotic something that they do.
Well, cute.
Totally cute.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. July, August, September, those are your hot months. That's when it starts to get pretty toasty. Those are the months where you're going to for sure want to build in rest.
Pool days, make sure you bring cooling towels and handheld fans and hydrate.
So much. Take a break in the Grand Californian if you are hot.
Go in the Animation Academy between the hours of 1 and 4.
Yep. The Tiki Room is a great place to go hang out. Hop on the train and just ride the train around for an hour. That's a great way to spend some time and not have to be out in the sun. There's lots of things that you can do, or go take a nap.
There you go.
And sit by the pool. September, this year is when they started Oogie Boogie, or they're going to start Oogie Boogie Bash in August, because Halloween is, nothing says Halloween like 100 degrees.
Absolutely. I don't know, sometimes it's that hot in October too. Sometimes you'll have a heat wave into October. So Oogie Boogie Bash. It can be hot.
It can be toasty.
It can also be a little chilly.
Yep.
You never know. Layers. Always layers.
So Oogie Boogie Bash is going to run typically 3 times a week through Halloween. California Adventure is going to close at 6 o'clock. If you don't have a ticket to that event, you're going to be asked to leave, and they are very good at
sweeping you out.
Sweeping the people out. I often see questions about, I don't have a ticket, but can I just kind of hang out and hide? No, you can't.
Sit on the bench. I mean, you can for a minute.
You'll be moved eventually.
Yes, as soon as you get up and move somewhere, they're going to sweep you out. So don't try to hide in the bathroom.
Nope, that's a bad plan. But be prepared because California Adventure will close. And Disneyland remains open. You can go over there. Interestingly enough, fireworks happen always at Disneyland, right? And so you can still see the Halloween fireworks without having a ticket to the Halloween party, which I think is kind of cool because that's not how it is at Walt Disney World.
Right.
So if you want to see the Halloween fireworks, you're in luck. You'll be able to see those even without an Oogie Boogie Bash ticket. And
this is when the overlays happen for Radiator Springs. So
Radiator Screams.
Yes. Luigi's and Mater's both get a little overlay, and then the Cadillac Range gets some cool lighting effects. The decorations are so cool.
They're so cool.
So cute.
I really like Halloween time.
Yes.
We know this. I love Halloween time at the Disneyland Resort.
Me too. It's hard to go any other time than that time because you just really want to be there for that. And then the Haunted Mansion gets its overlay as well.
Yeah.
starting in August.
Starting in August.
Going all the way through February.
But maybe not this year because we just don't know.
That's right. Last year it was a 6-month-long overlay, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what we counted out?
Kind of, yeah. I think it was the very, well, no, let's see. Because they kept it up extra long, didn't they?
It was until February, so I think it was almost 6 months, and then it closed forever.
Yes, forever.
Indefinitely.
But I mean, let's count it out. If they open it back up, which we don't know, but if they open it back up in time for Halloween season, you're going to have August, all of September, October, November, December, January, a good chunk of it's going to be about 6 months.
Yeah.
Too much.
Kind of crazy. And then also Guardians of the Galaxy gets its Halloween overlay, which is super fun. And you don't have to be going to the Halloween party to enjoy that.
Yes, because that will start earlier in the day.
Yes, it typically turns over at 1 or 2 p.m.
Yes, they'll shut it down for about an hour. And the beautiful thing about that, Haunted Mansion is Jack and Sally 24 hours a day. You know, that's just what it is. That's what you get that time of year. Guardians of the Galaxy, if you go in the morning, you get the traditional ride. If you go in the evening, you get the Monsters After Dark, which is really cool that you can experience both. And they're counted as 2 separate attractions in Genie Plus.
Yep. You can have a lightning lane for each.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay. Into November now.
Into November.
Holiday time. So there is a lull between Halloween and holidays starting, which is about 10 or 11 days usually.
Yep.
And they will immediately, they start putting up the icicles probably in October.
It will snow on the castle before Halloween.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
And then pretty much overnight, though, Halloween comes down. There are some remnants here and there for a few days. But that's a good time to go because crowds will be very low. You won't get to enjoy the full holiday decorations and you'll still have some remnants of Halloween. But if you want low crowds, that's a great time to go.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic time to go. Your weather is starting to be nice and mild out of October into November. You get that nice, lovely weather. We're still in layers.
Yes.
Katie would freeze.
Yeah, I'll probably have my coat. Back to daylight savings. Daylight savings ends in November.
How do you keep track of when it begins and when it ends?
It's March and November.
I know, but how do you know which one's the beginning and which one's the end?
Daylight savings is for summer. So it begins in March and ends in November.
It's not for winter. It doesn't begin in November and end in March?
No.
I never know. I've never known.
It's daylight savings time from March to November and then standard time from
the
November
rest of the
to
year.
March. Yep.
I've always wondered that.
Well, there's your little lesson for
Thank
the
you.
day.
I appreciate it.
Anyway, you could have an extra hour of sleep that weekend.
I think we've been that weekend before, too.
It's a great time to go.
Yeah.
Low crowds and extra sleep. I'll take it.
Sounds like a plan for sure.
All right. And then that's pretty much it. November and December, you're going to have low-ish crowds with the exception of Thanksgiving week. And then as soon as school starts getting out in December for the holidays.
Thanksgiving week, do they do fireworks every night Thanksgiving week?
Probably. I would think
they
so.
do. I think they also do them that week with like Christmas, New Year's. I think you'll get fireworks every night on those weeks as well. Those peak. I think honestly, in my brain, it just makes sense that if the kids in the neighboring neighborhoods don't have to be asleep, they
can have fireworks.
Yeah.
There you go.
So spring break time,
Right.
holidays like that.
Right. A lot of people will check the school calendars for the neighboring times for when kids are out of school to gauge crowds. I don't think that makes a huge difference, to be honest. Really, Utah and Arizona school calendars are probably a better bet for you.
Yeah, there's a weekend, what is it, in March, where everybody in Utah's on a break.
Yes.
They call it UEA, Utah Education Week.
And then Utah has a fall break in October, too. And that weekend, there's like a 5-day, or maybe they have a week off. I don't remember. But anyway,
but everybody from Utah
tends
goes
to be a little bit
Disneyland.
busier then, too. But again, I would
that's
not.
what I'm thinking
I
of.
would not change my trip for that. Just be ready for the crowds and have all of our tips and tricks in your back pocket.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. Really, honestly, just always prepare for it to be busy. It's always going to be busy. It's always going to feel busy.
Yes.
Unless you're somebody who goes all the time.
Right.
Disneyland is a busy place. It's always going to feel busy. We're there enough that we can go and sometimes be like, this is amazing.
Right.
Even though somebody else might think it was just crazy,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
And everybody's crowd tolerance is different too, right?
Totally. Totally.
Like, I don't know. My dad has a hard time anytime. Even if there were only 3 people in the park, he wouldn't love it.
He'd be like, I want to
Because
be
of all
out in the
crowds.
middle of
Yes.
Idaho alone.
Yes. So, yeah, keep that in mind. And yeah, so there's your weather to count on, your crowds to count on, and special events to count on, early closures to count on, and all of that. So hopefully that helps you plan your trip. Again, I would just pick the days that work for you, and then we, recommend rope dropping, get some rides in, take a break, come back and close the park down if you can, if it's not closing early.
Yeah.
And that's really all you got to do.
You're still going to have a great time no matter when you go.
Absolutely.
But there are some considerations when you are planning your trip to think about.
Yep. And if it comes down to 45 days before and a park is closing early and you're like, I don't think it's going to be enough time for us, add another day onto your ticket.
Yeah.
To have a little bit more park time.
Yep. Or
easy to do.
like we mentioned, get a park hopper and spend time, more time in one park when you can.
Yep.
So there's ways to work around it, but we just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of what the year looks like so that when you're sitting down kind of dialing in, that's what you can do.
And Disneyland was super nice to us this year and released everything for the calendar all at once, which they've never done before.
So nice. So kind. We appreciate it.
Maybe they are listening to us. What do you know?
I'm sure they are. Hi.
All right, guys, this is your weekly reminder to follow us on Instagram at Ropedrop.Parkhop and on Facebook the same. And our fun discussion group, Rope Dropping and Park Hopping. Go request to join that.
And if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, please do so now. Right now. Hit the button.
Smash that button.
Smash that button. And then leave us a rating and a review. We really, really appreciate those so much.
Yes.
We appreciate when you reach out to us on Instagram and give us feedback. It's great. And join us on Patreon.
Go check out our Patreon. We have a lot of fun in there.
We do.
Fabulous group of people.
Totally. And
our best friends.
Yeah, we've made some really cool friendships. Yep. And so have they. So
yeah, it's been really fun.
It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, have a good day. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you real soon.